Dealing with the problem of lost keys. Okay, most of these come from schools. Most of them, the keys have been lost many years ago. So what we need to do is remove the lock mechanism and either get a new key cut or remove the insides of the lock so we can turn it with any key. Now, the conventional wisdom is that you've got an inner and an outer ring, and you put multi-grips on the outer ring clumsily and you rotate that to unscrew it. Do that and you're going to wreck it. What we have to do here is remove the inner ring. The inner ring is held on with 4 press studs, and to get it out you need a fine flat bladed screwdriver in from each side. Just place it in and just gently lever up each side at a time, and very soon it should pop out like so. Almost, and here it comes. There we go. Now we've got access to the screws which hold the inner and the outer lock mechanism. The outer lock mechanism is a bucket which sits behind the fascia. The inner lock mechanism goes into there and is anchored there, and it has the outer ring to secure it on the outside. To get at that, we need to undo the 2 screws, and once they're out we'll be able to take out the entire inner mechanism. The actual lock itself is a 2-part affair. You have the lock and you have a plastic spline which goes into a female spline which is connected to the actual switches. So that sits in there like that, in behind the unit. By releasing the inner lock we can then separate the 2, out it comes, and then we can remove the spline. So let's get on to that now. All it needs is a delicate touch and a fine Phillips screwdriver. We'll remove the 2 screws. There's one. And we'll get the second one. And yes, it is switched off at the mains. And there we are. Now, to get the actual lock out from the lock mechanism, you'll see that the end of the shaft has got a spring-loaded brass pin. We need to use a fine screwdriver to press that pin down, and then we can take the spline off. So that goes in there like that. We press down and we can pull the spline right off. Says he, hopefully. It is down, yep. And off it comes. Once that off, the actual lock mechanism comes out. Now we can see right there that the pins on the lock go into a keyway cut in there, and of course once that's screwed in it can't turn, and that's your physical lock. So once we've done that, what we need to do is either go to a locksmith, not your local key cutting place but a proper locksmith. They will cut a key to suit, or failing that, get needle nose pliers and just pull out the little latches. I think they're called levers, I'm not too familiar with locks, and they've got little springs inside as well. So with all of those removed, you'll be able to use any key or a screwdriver, just poke it in and just rotate it as required. Reassembly is the reverse. Okay, we need to go in through the outer ring. Okay, that's in place now. I'm using the right one, I think. No, I'm not. Okay, helps if you use the right lock. Right, so it goes in there like so. The inner one slips over and clips into place. The pin's now holding it in place and it can't move. And as an exercise to the reader, I'll have to take the back off the unit and then line these 2 up. That goes back in there, mates with the spline. We do the screws up, and once the screws are in, then we can put that little plate back on the front. which just slips on like that, and job's done. So I might as well show you how to take the back off the machine. We'll do that on the other one right now. Okay, now we have to take the back off the machine. It's quite easy. You'll notice that there's a whole series of screws over these little keyhole shaped holes. What you need to do is just loosen the screws by 2 or 3 turns. You don't have to take them out. If you do take them out, it's a pain. So just 2 or 3 turns each. Now the reason we've got this up on the pieces of wood is because these bottom screws are next to impossible to get at when they're down on the ground. So even with a little stubby screwdriver, you'll still have problems. One of the design features of this is the way the cables just hang out underneath the back. So every time the machine's worked on and is tipped backwards or it's moved around, these cables will go underneath the edges and can quite easily get cut or have little flat spots put into the covers. So now all we need to do is just lift up the sheet metal and it just flops straight back, just like that. Beautiful. Now the key mechanism is up inside here. Bring out the back so we can see it. Right, so as you can see, there's 2 electrical switches ganged, and above that is the actual latch mechanism. That's the thing that makes it go clunk clunk as opposed to just flicking a switch. Right. The front panel comes off like so. There's our switch. So what we need to do is mount the switch behind the inner spacer. That gets screwed on there like so. You can see the 2 screws I've already put on there. That's just to keep the switch together while I've got it apart. It sounds a bit Irish, but that's how it works. So take those 2 screws out. That screws in place on there. Right. That goes up against the front plate, and then the inner lock mechanism goes in, the splines mate, and then you can screw it back together again. So, switch in a bucket, which has got a key. There we go. Right, the key's in place now. And then the inner lock mechanism just slots into place, 2 screws, and you're done. Simple as. Now putting it back together is just as easy. All you need to do is lift the whole thing up. Lift it again so that the screws go through the keyholes like so. Make sure they're all done, and then just drop it down. Okay, it's dropped back into place. Now you can do those screws up. Only use very slight torque if you're using an electric screwdriver. You want to be able to undo them again later. That's all there is to it. So, see you next time, and we'll start stripping it down and cleaning it and see where it takes us. See you later.